Hello and welcome to Friday Art. I'm Kate Field and today I'm sharing one of my favourite tutorials from the Friday Art and Doodle Club archives because I'm away for a few days as my lovely daughter is getting married, which is so exciting. Thank you so much for all your lovely heartwarming comments, especially those who have sent messages of sympathy following the death of our beloved cat Amber. She featured in many of my tutorials, adding her beautiful charm. We had her for 18 years and we are missing her. This video first went up when there were far fewer of us here, but it's a useful lesson and I thought it deserved a fresh outing. We're going to explore 5 fun and easy ways to create sketchbook or art journal backgrounds. We're going to be using paint, all sorts of paint, and a few everyday materials. These techniques are brilliant for getting past the fear of the blank page, and they'll give you a lively textured surface to build on in your own creative work. So gather up your paints and your sketchbook or your journal and let's dive in. And one of the things that I get my students to do with their brand new sketchbook and their clean white pages is to give them a bit of a trashing. And that's what we're going to do. I'm going to give you 5 different techniques to prepare the backgrounds for your sketchbook. Using just stuff that you've got lying around. So cling film, sort of some sponges, bit of bubble wrap, tissue, a little spongy thing, some masking tape and a rag. And we're going to be using different types of paint, ready mix paint, acrylic paint and some watercolour paint as well. Okay, so lesson 1 in this little section is using acrylic paint. So in this first one I'm using some acrylic paint and some ready mix. Think about the colours that you like, because that's going to make it a happy experience. And I found this shimmer paint the other week. It's no idea what it's going to be like actually. Oh, it's quite nice, isn't it? So I'll put that in on my paper plate. Just a plain sketchbook. So last time we looked at trashing some pages. So here we have, you can trash it first if you want, that's absolutely fine. I always work on a double page. I find it really helps when you're kind of wanting to create something and to try something new. So I'm just going to mix that with a bit of blue there. And then we're just going to scrape that across the surface of the paper. Quite liking that. Put that there. I'm just going to add a bit of white to this. The idea of using this sort of paint for background is that once it's dry, you can paint over the top of it and it won't smudge or run or anything like that. I'm having this sort of quite intense because I quite like it. Now, if you kind of think, no, it's too dark now, it's just too dark, that's fine. You can just put some white over the top. The whole point of a sketchbook is you're trying things out. You're playing and seeing what happens and seeing the things that you like and maybe the things that you don't like. So what I'm going to do now, I've got this nice kind of blue effect. I'm just going to add a little bit. This is just the ready mix, so it's not going to be very intense in the colour. Ready mix paint is very inexpensive, which means it's great for playing. It really is, because you can pick it up in the supermarket. So I'm going to leave that one to dry and we'll go on to the next one. So the next one is going to be using acrylic paint again, still with the sponge, but this time I'm going to use a stencil. Now these are ones that I have bought and as you can see from this one, I've used it a lot. I really like it actually. I mean, I like this one as well, but you can pick them up in various places. I will put a link below. So with a stencil, again, keeping it dry, a dry sponge, just sort of dabbing a little bit, holding it down. You can tape it down as well if you want to, if you feel it's moving around too much. Lift that up. That's interesting, isn't it? On there. Going over to this side as well. I'm not taking too much care here. You don't have to. Here, just brushing the edge, and I might just keep this blue. And when it dries, which we will look at the end when we look at all of them and think about what you could do, perhaps some thoughts of what you might do with this will come to you. So for me, it's looking a bit urban. I'm thinking maybe a bit of an urban landscape is going to appear here. Okay, let's go on to the next one. Okay, so I've put some masking tape on here, got a sponge, and this time I'm going to do a more sort of greeny blue, and I'm just dabbing over the top. Again, the paint is quite dry, it's not too wet, but you could try different things and see what happens. This sort of dabbing technique will give texture, but you can scrape it as well and see what happens there. Now straight away I'm getting a bit of an organic feel to this, so I think it might be something that some sort of organic feel, maybe some plants or trees or something like that with these colours. And obviously you can use whatever colours you want. So that's the second stage. The next stage is we're going to start to remove the masking tape. Now you can keep the masking tape. I am just going to put it down here because I might use that. Well, I will use it. I know I will, for something else. So I'm removing the masking tape. And obviously where the tape was is the white page. And that's going to create a pattern, give you some ideas of what you might do. So I'm kind of thinking country walks along the lanes near to where I live. I think I might do something like that with this. And then perhaps a few trees, and that's just sort of exploring a bit of wildlife. Right, so we will come back to that one when we've left it to dry. In this next one, I'm going to be using stampers. Now these are ones that I've made myself using those little spongy foam pads that are used to protect furniture. No, protect the floor from furniture. You know what I mean. And they're great. So I've just stuck them onto a bit of cardboard. And I'm going to be using acrylic paint again. I'm going to be using my sponge, and maybe I think I might use a brush to put the paint on. We might just kind of see how it goes. I'm just going to use a bit of I'm going to use the brush first of all on here. And obviously you can put the stamp down onto the paint as well. Just play with it, see what happens. Again, it's always a little bit hit and miss. We're never quite sure what's going to happen. Well, that's a bit of a weird colour. Something got caught up in that one, but that's fine. Down on, oh, now that's quite interesting. Always do 2 or 3. See, that's quite curious. I'm not quite sure about that, but we'll see where this goes. Quite liking of this. That one on there. Again, I'm going over the double page. Right, I'm going to have a go with this one. I think I might do this one with some more pink and yellow. Again, this is the poster paint, so it's very thin. Quite liking this. And so this page is sort of more intense than this one. I might just leave that and see where we go with it. So I'll leave that one to dry and come back to it. We're now going to move on to working with watercolours. I use a whole variety of watercolours. You use whatever you have, and again, it doesn't have to be expensive. I like these ones. These are Acrylic, and they're very intense colours. And so are these actually. These are rather lovely. But you can use tubes, whatever. Okay, so let's just move those. I'm just going to spray a bit of water in here, and I'm going to spray some water onto the page, and I'm going to use a very soft brush. And again, I think I'm going to go for greens. Let's just lay some paint down. It would be very wet. We're going right across the page, and I'm going to add a little bit more of that more viridian green, and the paint will start reacting with the water immediately. Now most people, when I start teaching kind of watercolour washes, they labour it too much. You've got to be very gentle, otherwise you destroy the paper, and then you can just leave it. So I'm just going to leave it like that, because I think it's really interesting. There's sort of some movement there, and I really like it. Once it's dry, again, it's watercolour, so as soon as you add water to the page, things will change. It's not like acrylic. With acrylic, once it's dry, it's dry. But that can then be used to our advantage with watercolour, and you can move the book around and change the shapes and the patterns, but you play with water, wet on wet it's called, and it's such a lovely freeing experimentation, and I love it. So on this one we're using watercolour again. I'm going to make the page wet this time just with the brush, or you could use the spray, that's absolutely fine. And this time I'm going to use one of my absolute favourite colours, this sort of turquoise. You see, just let the paint bleed through the water, and then the idea is you really do need to work quickly. So we're just going to use tissue paper. Tissue, this is just a tissue. Take up some of the water, but also what happens is that the tissue itself creates a pattern. Now it's this technique that I use when I'm doing watercolour seascapes. I will use a tissue. Now on this same page, so I just think it might be quite fun to show you here. Just sticking to this turquoise at the moment, and then I'm going to add the darker blue. You can see that the colours just disperses, which is just lovely. And then some cling film. I always get in a bit of a mess with cling film. Scrunch it up a little bit. So we're just going to lay it on top like this, so you can see some of the patterns there. I'm just going to lift that up a little bit and see how that kind of disperses it a little bit more, and then just going to put that back down. I'm just using the cling film to create different sorts of patterns on the paper. Again, just play with it and see what happens. I like these sort of bubbles that are appearing. A bit of surf coming up, and when that dries, I might then just sort of work into a little bit with maybe a colouring pencil or acrylic pen or something like that. So here are those pages now dry. I do let them dry for a few hours, even overnight. This one's the acrylic one, it's totally dry. You can now put all sorts of stuff onto here, including wet paint, and it won't move. So it's quite nice. I'm liking this. I will work on this in a later lesson. Okay, let's go to the stencil page. Again, we used acrylic here, so this is all completely dry. You'll be able to put wet on this and it won't move about. Okay, I'm really liking this one. Again, we used acrylic, so you can put paint on the top of that without changing the background at all. This one, I'm quite liking this one. I'm imagining a bit of a collage experiment on this, so I will work on that one a little bit later. And okay, and this one was the watercolour. Now this is not fixed, so if you want to add more background, you could add water onto this, add more paint, move the paint around, and it will change. If you want to leave it like it is and you want to then work on it, you need to be careful. So you could use acrylic pens, that would work, but as soon as you add water to this, it's going to change the background. So you'll need to think about what you want to do with that. If you want to fix this, then you can use a gel medium or PVA glue, white glue, mixed with water over the top, leave it to dry, and then it will be fixed. And we will try some of those in the next few lessons. And finally, this one, which I think is my favourite. I am really liking this. Again, this is watercolour. So if you add water to this, the colours will disperse. So that might be what you want, which is fine. I'm thinking I need to fix this. So I'm going to use a gel medium to work over the top of it. And in a future lesson, I'll show you what I end up doing with this one. So I really hope you have enjoyed these experiments. So I hope you can join me next time. I hope you've enjoyed it. If you like this sort of thing, perhaps you'd like to subscribe. My plan is to have a lesson every Friday, and you can follow along. Well, I do hope you enjoyed that one and that you are no longer intimidated by that blank page. If you'd like to see some more, look at this one, because I think you'll like it. And I will see you next time. Bye-bye.